They sense the change and believe they have reached a destination, as if a single flash of insight could dismantle a lifetime of deception, as if one moment of understanding could reverse years of conditioning. The reality is that most individuals do not fully awaken. They merely experience a glimpse of awakening. They graze it like a fleeting dream, a hint of liberation wafting through the air, elusive and ephemeral, disappearing the moment they attempt to chase it. The significant pitfall lies in confusing the beginning with the change. That first sight, that abrupt shattering of self-importance, that bewildering fissure in the reality they once held on to, resonates as truth because, for the first time, they recognize that all they held to be true was a deception. Yet, the dread soon follows. It's not the fear of waking up, but the fear of what lies ahead. For when you start to awaken, you are not entering a state of bliss. You are entering the flames. You are entering the tumult of all that you have concealed. You are stirring the aspects of yourself that you once sought to leave behind. For many individuals, that is simply intolerable. They withdraw. They cling to their familiar comforts. They refresh the prison's facade and label it as a form of healing. Thus, they remain confined, not due to a lack of initiation, but because they halted when the truth required too great a sacrifice. They sought the illumination, yet shunned the warmth. They sought recognition, yet shied away from accountability. They sought change without compromise. And this reflects the affliction of contemporary existence, where the conviction that understanding alone suffices prevails. Carl Jung cautioned that individuals will go to great lengths, no matter how irrational, to escape confronting their own essence. Awakening does not signify the conclusion of suffering. This marks the dawn of something truly authentic, the type that cleanses, the kind that removes the facade, the identity, the characters you embodied to endure, the kind that breaks apart the persona you were conditioned to don, like a suit of armor that now suffocates you. And this is where many individuals pause at the brink of the flames. They sense the heat and retreat. They dread the disintegration. They dread the prospect of relinquishing power. Yet they fail to recognize that it is the unraveling that will liberate them. The genuine awakening transcends mere events. It is a breakdown. It is the gradual, excruciating disintegration of the framework you constructed to shield your inner void. It is not a radiant ray cascading from the skies. It is a journey into the depths of your own mind. It confronts your shadow directly, the aspects of yourself you promised to avoid, the desires you suppressed, the hurt you buried so profoundly. It transformed into your character. Here lies the paradox. Jung recognized that the shadow is not an adversary. This is your entrance. To traverse it, one must first be consumed. To truly overcome your fears, you must first embrace and embody them. Yet, many individuals catch sight of the shadow and flee. They justify it. They elevate it to a higher plane. They reference the appropriate texts, illuminate the perfect candles, recite the ideal affirmations. Yet they do not delve deeper. They refuse to yield, for surrender signifies the end, demise of the familiar, the demise of the mask, the demise of the ego's fabrications. They seek the rise without the fall. They seek a new beginning without the necessity of an end. Yet, no rebirth can occur without sacrifice. There can be no change without destruction. Thus, they construct a new confinement, a more aesthetically pleasing one, adorned with lofty phrases and insincere modesty. Yet, it remains a confinement, because at their core, they have yet to face their hidden truths. They have yet to acknowledge their shadows. They continue to express themselves for the sake of passion, still concealing their true selves in search of validation, still relinquishing their authenticity to outside influences. They appear alert, yet they are merely wandering through a new guise. The essence perceives beyond it. It lingers with a quiet intensity, yearning for the instant they will summon the courage to delve further. Jung understood that the unconscious is always active. What you evade does not vanish. It simmers beneath the surface, It lingers quietly, biding its time until it discovers a means to unleash itself. And when it arrives, it frequently obliterates all that you've constructed upon shaky ground. This is the reason many individuals who start their journey of awakening encounter emotional, psychological, and spiritual collapse. Their external existence was constructed upon a persona that never truly resonated with their core being. As the soul stirs, it unsettles all that is out of harmony with its essence. This is not a consequence. This is elegance in its most daunting manifestation. The spirit refuses to allow you to remain at ease within a falsehood. It will take away all the things you rely on to escape, the harmful connections, the superficial goals, the craving for approval, the dependence on diversion. This act of stripping away, this profound dismantling, resonates with the essence of death, for it truly embodies that finality, yet it remains the sole route to renewal. However, many individuals, when confronted with this downfall, perceive it as a defeat. There's a sense that something has gone awry. They attempt to resolve it rather than experiencing it. They grasp at their instruments, their mentors, their practices, seeking to break the stillness, striving to evade the reality of the present moment. Thus, they overlook the essential aspect of awakening, which is to become sufficiently empty for something genuine to arise, not an abundance of knowledge, nor a multitude of achievements, but rather the essence of presence, the clarity of truth, and the completeness of wholeness. This is something that cannot be imparted through instruction. It must be experienced. It must be endured. It must be attained in the shadowy depths of the soul's journey, when no eyes are upon you and no one can come to your rescue. Only those who traverse this blaze and continue onward start to grasp what it genuinely signifies to awaken. Awakening transcends mere trends. It is not a label. It is an unraveling, a homecoming, a confrontation. It requires your all, particularly the aspects you are still holding on to. It demands your dreams, your ego, your display. It requires you to face the fundamental figures within the injured child, the oppressor, the dependent, the deceiver. Rather than casting judgment, embrace them, recognize their influence on your journey, and reclaim the energy ensnared in feelings of shame, guilt, and repression. Jung proposed that the journey to wholeness involves embracing the dualities within us, advocating for the synthesis of light and shadow rather than the elimination of darkness. This is the hidden journey, the divine connection. It lacks any sense of glamour. It lacks popularity. It can be quite challenging. It is harsh. It is unrefined. It is sacred, as it compels you to embrace authenticity. This genuine essence, this sincerity, marks the dawn of true liberation. Not the kind that stems from outside freedom, but the kind that emerges when you cease to compromise your true self for affection, when you stop diminishing yourself to belong, when you no longer ask for validation to simply be. You start to exist as your true essence, rather than merely fulfilling a part. As you start to express the quietude inside, all that is untrue begins to dissolve. Individuals will depart. Visions will fade away. Previous iterations of yourself will plead for revival. Yet, if you stay true to the flame within, the one that cannot be muted, you will rise, not merely awakened, but changed entirely. Thus, I present this to you, not as a caution, but as a call to action. If you have started to awaken, do not linger at the threshold. Do not look back when the illusions fall apart. Embrace the flames. Step right into it. Allow it to engulf all that lacks authenticity. Allow it to reveal your true self, hidden beneath the conditioning, the fear, and the narrative that has been imposed upon you. You are not meant to seek approval. You were destined to recall. To remember is to reconnect with the essence of who you once were, the part of yourself you set aside to endure, to the essence that resided within you prior to the world's influence on your identity. Your presence is not meant for display. Your purpose is not to seek approval. You are not meant to conform to a shape that was never designed for your essence. Your journey is about achieving completeness. Wholeness demands the experience of pain. It demands honesty. It demands a passion so intense that it refuses to allow you to accept anything less than a full existence. Many individuals remain confined, not due to a lack of strength, but because they fear their own potential. They fear the consequences of dropping the facade. They dread the stillness that will ensue once they cease their act. Yet that silence, that profound, resonant silence, is far from being mere emptiness. It is existence, the melody of your spirit returning to its rightful place. This is where deception meets its end and authenticity comes to life. Remain in that spot. Embrace the moment. Yield to the experience. And allow yourself to embody the essence of the truth you have long desired. Refrain from attempting to return. The trail you've left is now but a memory, not due to its lack of significance, but because it fulfilled its role. It led you to this moment. However, this is the point at which many individuals falter. They linger on the brink of realization, akin to those in exile, apprehensive of the price of reclaiming their true selves. They have witnessed the demands of reality, not mere words, not just intentions, but the essence of life, the depth of humility, and the complete unraveling of all that once provided a sense of significance, rising to consciousness. Jung reminds us that it is not about transforming into something different. It's about recalling your true self before the world imposed its expectations upon you. The path leads deep within, to the neglected sanctuaries of the soul, where stillness prevails and applause is absent. And many individuals, when they finally approach that stillness, become overwhelmed with fear. They believe the quiet signifies that something is amiss. However, it is quite the contrary. It signifies that something profound is finally beginning to flourish, something beyond description, an essence that eludes commercialization. It is you, your true self, finally emerging after being suffocated for years by layers of deception. However, the reality is this: no one dares to admit that the silence will leave you exposed. A sense of confusion will envelop you, leaving you feeling abandoned and adrift. Here, the mind attempts to shield you by drawing you back to the familiar, to the established norms, the frameworks, and the version of yourself that once thrived. Yet that self is unable to traverse this journey. The self that was perceived was never genuine. It served as a transformation, a facade, a shield. Once you don it again, the spirit will fall into silence once more. Not from a place of anger, but from a place of respect. It understands that you're still not prepared. The spirit yearns for bravery, not cozy, lacking confidence. Yet, the bold, quaking bravery to relinquish all that lacks authenticity. This is the reason many individuals remain confined. They desire transformation to resemble growth. Yet, genuine growth frequently resembles destruction, the unraveling of assurance, the disintegration of faith, the solitude of transformation. Indeed, it can feel quite isolating. Awakening is a journey of letting go, not accumulating. You cast off identities. You let go of connections. You release aspirations tied to a past self that was focused on mere survival rather than flourishing. In that moment of shedding, you experience a profound sense of vulnerability, as if you are exposed, overlooked, and not fully grasped by those around you. Yet, that is the essential cradle of renewal, a realm where all that is superfluous fades away, allowing true essence to emerge. Jung discussed the journey of individuation, a transformative process aimed at achieving wholeness through the integration of all the disparate aspects of the self. That encompasses the unappealing aspects, the self-centered facets, the dependent elements, the envious, resentful, furious, and embarrassed sides. This integration represents the most profound endeavor you will ever undertake. It is not performed in sacred spaces. It unfolds amidst the chaos of existence, within your connections, your responses, your sorrows, your moments of isolation. Many individuals steer clear of this task as it lacks recognition. It evokes conflict, It evokes tranquility. It presents reflections. Yet, if you can face that mirror, shaking yet resolute, you will start to perceive the contours of your essence. Once it comes into view, it becomes an indelible part of your perception. That is when the true metamorphosis commences. The darkness that once filled you with fear now transforms into your guide. The anguish that once shattered you now transforms into your gateway. The void that once tormented you transforms into a hallowed expanse. Having shed your fear of the dark, you have ventured boldly into its depths. You have contemplated it deeply. You have heard its whispers, and it has revealed the truth to you. You are always whole. You find yourself hidden under layers, under expectations, under the urgent desire for acceptance. And now that you have ceased your flight, now that you have halted the bargaining with your reality, the spirit can ascend, not as a novelty, but as a relic of the past, a concept that transcends time, something steadfast. This is the essence of awakening, not to flee from the world, but to embrace it fully, with every part of yourself engaged, without masks, without protection, no regrets, only essence, only honesty, simply the unwavering, undeniable awareness that your presence serves a genuine purpose, not particularly remarkable, not an action that garners affection, yet it resonates deep within you, like a familiar embrace. A soft affirmation lingers in the quietude, something that can be experienced without the necessity of comprehension. This is the kind of freedom that often intimidates many individuals, the liberation that arises when you no longer seek approval to be, when you cease to compromise your true self for the sake of acceptance, when you cease seeking validation for simply being your true self. Thus, you journey not ahead, but within. Every step draws you closer to the truth you once shunned. The remnants of your past life conceal a tender spirit, still weeping in the shadows. The wounded lover remains, burdened by unvoiced betrayals that linger in the silence. You discover the aspects of yourself that you once deemed excessive, overly sensitive, or damaged, and you come to understand that they were never imperfections. They were the elements nearest to your essence, the ones you left behind to blend in, the voices you muted to endure, and now, awakening signifies guiding them back to their rightful place, empowering their expression, allowing them to influence your growth, rather than diminish your spirit. This is the creation, this is the journey ahead. It just goes on and on. Since your presence is not meant to be felt, your purpose is to grow and transform, time and time again. With each layer you release, each truth you embrace, and every falsehood you cease to believe, transformation unfolds. You achieve a greater sense of completeness, deeper grounded, more authentic. You cease the search for a savior as you rediscover your true self, not a casualty, not just a part. This is not a matter for correction, yet a spirit, timeless, boundless, wild. That spirit has been patient for an eternity, longing for your awakening, not merely once, but entirely. The decision lies in your hands now. Will you drift back into slumber, or will you ignite with passion, shatter the facade, quickly navigate through the roles, break free from the fear that has held you back? For beyond that blaze lies something sacred, not paradise, not flawlessness, but completeness, a sense of completeness that remains unassailable, the type that relies solely on your inner self, a force that emerges from the depths, quiet yet powerful, relentless in its pursuit. Many individuals go through life without ever discovering it, not due to a lack of availability, but because they hesitate at the entrance. They seek assurance before taking the plunge. They seek assurance prior to placing their trust. Yet, the essence does not operate in such a manner. The essence communicates solely through contradictions. One must take a bold jump to discover solid footing. One must have faith to perceive the journey ahead. To find true freedom, one must embrace surrender. In that act of letting go, everything transforms, not in a rush, but gradually, naturally, with unwavering strength. One starts to embrace existence through authenticity. From the depths of silence, your voice emerges. You start to embrace love without hesitation. This is the transformation that occurs not in the external world, but deep within ourselves. The transformation that Jung alluded to when he remarked, "Those who gaze outward dream, while those who delve inward awaken." You were destined to rise and embrace your true self, not merely once, not just partially, but entirely. To fully embrace change is to release the identity you once held, allowing the authentic self to emerge. And so, if you are hearing this and you sense the pull, the ache, the fire, allow it to guide you, allow it to unveil your essence, allow it to unravel you. For it is through that unraveling that you shall find new life, not as someone superior, yet as a genuine individual, a complete individual, a person who has transcended the need for validation, a person who has stopped questioning their worth. For you have recalled that you were always destined to be just this. Perfection was never your destiny. You were destined to exist. Your presence was destined for this moment. And here is hallowed, even in the midst of pain, even in the shadows, particularly in the absence of light. For it is within that darkness, that silence, that unbearable stillness where the doorway lies. Beyond that threshold, your essence awaits, not to save you, but to bring you back to awareness. You are not confined. You haven't lost your way. You are merely releasing what was never truly yours. And what persists is the essence of who you have always been. Welcome back. As you stand at this precipice, not the brink of enlightenment, but the brink of your own essence, you may encounter one last allure to succumb to numbness, to select ease over reality one final time, to declare that this is sufficient, even as your spirit softly urges, there is more to seek. That whisper does not carry an obligation. It is a vocation, and vocations are not always gentle. Clarity is not always present, yet they remain undeniably true. They emerge not from desire, not from pride, not from the urge to be noticed, but from the profound essence of the spirit that understands your purpose for being here. You did not arrive here to simply be adequate. Your purpose here is not to seek acceptance. You arrived with the intention to evolve. You arrived to reflect. You arrived to venture into the untamed woods of your inner self and reclaim what you abandoned, your voice, your strength, your passion. You arrived to embrace the paradoxes, to encompass both affection and fury, tranquility and turmoil, the sacred and the obscure, and to define it as completeness. This is the creation of those who have come into their own, not to rise above the world, but to become so deeply rooted in spirit that nothing in the world can unsettle you, not to flee from suffering, but to uncover significance within it, not merely to pursue illumination, but to bear it steadfastly through the deepest shadows. And when the familiar self reemerges to challenge you, to entice you, to draw you back into a state of indifference, you will not resent it. It will not be shamed. You will express gratitude for the journey it has led you on. In that moment, your choices will shift, not flawlessly, but honestly, and that is all that awakening ever requests. Not for flawlessness, but for sincerity, profound and transformative truthfulness, the type that reveals my true self when no one is watching, the kind that exists beyond the spotlight, without the need for recognition or validation, the type that stands bare in the reflection of the spirit and declares, I recall now, I recall the essence of existence, I recall the essence of experiencing it all deeply. I recall the essence of holding both sorrow and grace simultaneously and yet still ascending. When you exist from that space, you start to perceive the divine in all things, how grief gently molds you, the manner in which quiet conveys more than clamor. Your personal scars transform into pathways connecting you to the souls of those around you. Cease the haste. You cease to demonstrate. Cease your efforts to mend what has always been whole. You encounter existence not as it truly is, but as you were conditioned to believe it ought to be. And from that gathering, Affection emerges, not the delicate type that seeks approval, but the strong type that can embrace every part of you, even the aspects you believed made you unworthy of love, particularly those sections. For now, you understand that the shadow was never your foe. The invitation was yours. Embracing it didn't diminish your strength. It completed you. When the silence starts to close in on you and the darkness envelops you, embrace it instead of fighting against it. Do not run away. Embrace it fully. Pay attention. Allow it to express itself. Allow it to reveal the fears that linger within you, what you continue to hold on to, what remains unforgiven, and then let go, not through coercion, not through exertion, yet with confidence. What is destined to fade will indeed fade away. What endures is what has always been yours to bear. You are not here to fulfill someone else's idea of enlightenment. You are here to chart your own course. Your journey begins with you as your own guide, to navigate your own intricate path, to hear the whispers of your own spirit amidst the clamor. And if that entails journeying solo for a time, then journey on. Stride with sorrow. Stride alongside uncertainty. Stroll with quivering hands. But move forward, for remaining still is not a refuge when it stems from fear. Movement holds a sacred quality when it is genuine. Even a single genuine step toward your own path holds more value than 1,000 miles traversed in pretense. That single step taken in honesty will unveil pathways that no chart could ever reveal. Embrace this undeniable reality. You are not confined. Your past does not define you. Not by your apprehension, not through your injuries. Your only confinement arises from ignoring the gentle nudges of your inner self that have been speaking to you all this time. And when you finally listen with true depth and without interruption, you will hear the voice that has patiently awaited beneath every false identity, beneath every mask, beneath every performance. Your voice embodies your true self. It remains understated. It does not plead. It just conveys a message. Return home. Return to the warmth of the hearth. Return to the tranquility of solitude. Return to the ache, the strength, the untamed spirit, the insight. Return to the essence of yourself that requires no repair, only recollection. Upon your arrival, quaking yet breathing, you will uncover the reality that eludes the majority. You were always destined to awaken. This is your destiny. You were destined to rise fully, even if it ignites a fire within, particularly if it ignites